Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back. Now today, I want to do something I've not done in a while, and that's address a comment that came through in a video, and it's partly because I realised the last week or so I've not been so great at coming back and taking a look at comments and replying to them, just because I've been kind of rushed off my feet with a couple of different things that I've been having to pay attention to and try and chase up, and that is, I'll admit, stressing me out a little bit. But this particular comment came through, and when I read it on the email from YouTube that I got telling me that I had a comment, it not only did it strike a chord with me, it's something that I've heard a lot, something that I've seen an awful lot. And as a result, I wanted to kind of go through it and so on. And the comment was this one, which I'll just bring up, which was from Phantom Dust. And the first thing before I read it out is just a thank you to Phantom Dust, because as I've said in other videos in the past, sharing stuff like this can be daunting, can be difficult for people. So thank you firstly for sharing, but also thank you for bringing it up, because it allows me to reply to it and to kind of put some things out there that might help, might not help. But again, this isn't a problem that only you have. It's a problem that an awful lot of people have. So the fact that you've been willing to bring it up means that I can at least try and put something out there for all those other people who haven't had the courage to speak up or otherwise haven't put it forward. So, thank you very much to you. But just to go through the comment, my fear of confrontation is when someone is talking down to me like my boss or whatever. I can't find it within myself to stand up for myself, and after I feel horrible and like a coward. I want to say something, but if it's bad or I knew it was coming, like if I call out from work because I was sick and I just knew I was getting written up when I went back, I'll dread it until the time it happens, and then my anxiety is so severe I just sit there. I hate this about myself. Even if I lose my job, my life isn't over. I don't like the control I give others over my emotions. Now, I see this in a lot of people, and it's not just the anxiety over kind of just general anxiety that builds up. It's specifically when people project and try and tell the future, and that's where the anxiety builds up. I've talked about this before in other videos around anxiety and things like that, but what I want to go through today specifically is just 5 points that are very much more focused on not letting others have that kind of control over your emotions, not allowing you maybe to not give over as much control and give over as much of the power over yourself as you have been. And a lot of it comes down to kind of understanding and being clear with yourself, which again can be difficult to do, can require a lot of practice in doing, but we'll go through it point by point, as I usually do, and hopefully these will help. Because when I was a kid, I was very I went through this phase in the middle of, from like, I don't know, 7-8 years old all the way through till I was about 15, where I was nervous, quiet, anxious, and it was because I suddenly became more aware. I was more aware and sensitive and capable of understanding things around me, but I didn't then look beyond that to understand more. So the first thing I'm going to say is seek understanding. You need to go and find out kind of what the elements are, and especially in regards to people, the people that will throw bad behavior at you like as said, someone just talking down to you, someone trying to impose themselves on you, give you directives and things to one extent or another, whether it is actually their job or not, there are ways of doing it that don't come across in quite such a kind of stratified way. But if they are, then it's not necessarily something to just give a break to and not acknowledge that it's a negative thing. But there should always be the question of going, is there something else happening here? You know, if it's a set of things that your boss is yelling at you, for instance, given the example that the Phantom Dust said in their comment, where it's like coming into work and being written up and whatever else, you know, in those situations, yeah, your boss might come down on you hard, but is there something else at play there? Could it be that as a result of you calling in short-staffed, stressed him out, and so yeah, he might be taking out on you, but it's not necessarily something that is entirely your fault. Yeah. Some negatives that hit you require some compassion and empathy, and trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes to kind of get around and understand, which can be really difficult to do when you're the one that's been put upon, when you're the one that's been attacked, or when you're the one that's been kind of vilified in some way. But like and as said, you don't have to give the bad behaviour a break, but understanding it gives you maybe more of a perspective to then move forward with it. You know, he was only yelling at me because on that day, yeah, I was sick, but a whole load of other people left him in the shit. He's come down on everybody, and he's doing it that way. He's doing this because he needs to make sure the standards are maintained. He's doing this because his boss is going to have a go at him. You know, there's usually a cascade in there somewhere. And it might not even be a cascade that means that you go, okay, I understand, and I'm going to just accept. It can be a case of understanding and going, all right, so there's more at play here, and it's not just me. Because that's a lot of anxiety is kind of that neurotic element of turning everything in on yourself. And it's never that, it's almost always a combination of lots of things. It's never as simple as just, oh, it's all my fault, or oh, it's all their fault. There's usually some kind of spectrum, some kind of variance, lots of different things interacting with the situation at once. And it's important to acknowledge that, because that way you're a piece of the puzzle, sure, and their actions towards you are a piece of the puzzle, but it's not everything. And at times both of you can be the victims of something much, much bigger, even if there's, you know, the only interaction that you're actually part of is with that other person. So it's something to keep in mind. The second thing is you have to be objective. You know, one of the things the you've mentioned, Phantom Dust, in your comment, and that lots of other people do, is that when something happens to them, or when they expect something to happen to them, they dwell on it. They sit and they focus on what's going to happen, what at the very least what they think is going to happen, and then how they can react. And the reactions are usually emotionally driven rather than factually driven, because rather unsurprisingly, you know, when you're in a stressful situation, your emotions are the things that kind of kick up a gear. But, you know, you have to look at it like a scientist. Yeah, you have to analyze the situations with what you have evidence for and what you have information for. And if you don't have all the information for it, then you need to look for more information before you try and make your decisions. So, for instance, in the example given of you calling in sick and you thinking that you're going to get in trouble with the people that you're working with, you know, if you sit on it and think about how terrible it's going to be, then you get yourself upset before it even happens. The number of times when I was a manager, people would call in sick, and it would be fairly obvious when people were actually sick and when people weren't, firstly. But also, then when they came in, everyone's got a right to be sick. The thing that I would do, everyone would dread it. Everyone would absolutely hate sitting down with me in an office to fill out their return to work forms. But the return to work forms were just a case of going, either I'm going to catch you in a lie, fine, but if you're not lying, then you've got nothing to hide, and it's literally just a case of you were off work on this day, and now you're back on this day. It's just a case of knowing who's going and coming and going. And so, but I was in all of my reviews, everything that the team would tell me, all of the Employee of the Month votes and everything else, the team was finding me to be the most approachable in a lot of instances, and they would come to me with all kinds of problems. And yet, just because they would build up in their head that being sick was a bad thing, having time off work was a bad thing, they would get themselves stressed out, upset and worried before they even came back to work, which also, by the way, wouldn't help them avoid being sick. Someone that's stressed, that cortisol, talked about this in a blog post last week, where it's a case of, or a week before last rather, all of that cortisol is shutting down your immune system because it's not useful to you in a moment-to-moment stressful situation, fight or flight and all the rest of it. You keep that up long term though, you're trying to get better, you're trying to get healthy again to get back into work. That stressful situation, that stressful environment that you're keeping yourself in isn't going to help you heal. But as a result though, you come in and you have to look at it like this. So what's my boss like? Okay, so let's say your boss is a yeller. Let's say he would have a go at you, yeah, and that just seems to be his way of getting stuff across. Positive, negative, irrelevant. It's the way that he communicates, yeah. Then if he goes and says that he was upset, annoyed, whatever else in regards to maybe being off sick or whatever else. And he just then goes, look, well, now you're back, you need to go and do the thing. Fine, so the information you've got is that your boss communicates in a certain way. You're back from work, and he's glad you're back from work. He was, in fact, annoyed that you weren't there when he wanted you or needed you. And then he's told you to go do some more. He's told you to get back to work, in which case, guess what? Go back and get to work. You've been given an objective. And it can be hard to cut through all of that. But again, it's having that scientific kind of colder mindset where you only look at the facts. If you think that something's coming up, but you've got no evidence for it, as per what I was saying a moment ago with people dreading coming and sitting down for a return to work kind of filling out of a form with me, they would have no evidence for me having a go at them, for the most part, unless there was a previous time when they had actually done something horribly wrong. I probably would have said to them on the phone, if I was the person who had taken the call from them about them being sick, that they have a right to be sick, and it was fine. Even if I sounded a little disgruntled, maybe because it made my shift more difficult or whatever. And yet they would then still come in with no evidence to support the idea of me being upset, me being angry, me kind of causing them a problem, and they would dread coming and sitting down with me because they had made up this thing in their own head that they didn't have any information, any evidence for. So again, it's look at what you have evidence for. People's past behavior, past interactions with people, company policy. As I said in videos like when I first started doing this channel, and I was having a lot of clients at the time talking to me about bad contracts and things like that, and not knowing what their policies are at work that could help them, and not knowing what their rights were as workers. If you need workers' rights, there are various places you can find kind of advice for citizens on all that kind of thing, usually online these days. And almost everywhere that I've worked, in terms of big corporates and smaller ones, smaller businesses, all have their employee handbook, or at the very least their employee paperwork, that they send you away with once you signed your contract, once you're on their payroll. In which case, read it. Don't just go, oh, well, I've got it now so I can refer back to it. Read it so you know what's in there. Because that way, again, if you're seeing stuff that's going on, and you know that when you're sick, you are going to have that return to work interview. When you're you're doing X, Y, and Z, then there are going to be limitations on what you need to do, and if you step outside those, then yeah, you might run into some problems. Have all those facts available, have all of that information available, and anything that doesn't have evidence for it, dismiss it. And again, this takes practice to learn to do. So this won't necessarily solve your problems overnight. There are very few things in this world that, when a problem arises, can solve that problem instantly. And so, you know, this may take time to learn, to practice, to get used to doing. But again, take that scientist's mindset, analyze it, you know, or be a detective if you like. Is there evidence for it? Are there clues to suggest what's going to happen next? You know, have a dig into that information and see what's there. The next thing is kind of still difficult to do, but it's something that is necessary, and that's, you have to identify where and what this is, the situation is actually going to affect. With the example given by Phantom Dust, if you're going into work and your boss has a go at you, or writes you up for being off or whatever else, then what does that actually impact? If it's writing you up in terms of filling out forms just to say that you're back at work, if it's just a finger wagging because you were off, then what does that really do? It is if your boss is being a dick to you, if whatever it is that has happened, and it's just a simple follow up, then it doesn't necessarily change you working. The way that you're working, the days you're working, the money that you're earning, it doesn't change necessarily your relationships with that person. As said, it might just be a hoop that they need to jump through and they're trying to impress it on you. That comes from, again, trying to seek some understanding earlier on. But if it doesn't really change anything in your world, then just let it go. Let them and the negatives that they're bringing to you just kind of water off a duck's back, just kind of run over you and off away, and just get on with your day, because otherwise you're just going to waste a whole load of energy on it. And again, this can be very difficult to do by going, someone who has just been right up in your face telling you that you're a terrible worker, telling you that you're a terrible person, telling you how difficult you've made life for them, how disappointed they are in you, all those sort of things. Potentially threatening other punishments that may very well just be that. They might be just threats. If they're bringing all of that to you, again, that's stressful. You might not be able to see past that particularly easily. But again, take a look at it as analytically as you can, and what kind of evidence there is for it doing anything to you or your day. There were times when my boss would come to me and have a go at me for something that the whole team was maybe responsible for, and maybe I was the least responsible for it, or maybe I was kind of in it with two or three of the others. But there were a team of us, so it was very rarely just one person that had done something absolutely terrible. But he would come and he would have a go and he would complain and he'd be very upset. And at times, because he was a dick, and I'm, thinking back a fair while here to when I was working as part of a team of like 120 people. But when he was really kind of upset and agitated, then yeah, there were maybe two other people that he would very specifically pick on for various reasons. But I kept doing what I was doing, because what did him having a go at me do? I wasn't actually getting written up. I didn't change my hours, didn't change my pay, didn't change the way that I had to work with my team, didn't change my interactions with him, because as I said, he was a bit of a dick already. In which case, nothing's changed. My day continues. And there were times when that was very, very hard to do, but again, practice and understanding that that's the kind of thing that needs to be looked for saw me through the other side of it. Um, the next one is also difficult because all of these things are difficult because of course you're trying to moderate yourself whilst you are yourself against the rest of the world. But there's one thing that we are kind of programmed to do, and that is at times we need to win. Yeah, we always want to win. We want to survive. We want to strive. And especially in relationships that are very close to people, it can be very difficult when it comes to going, I don't need to win. There are no sides here. There's just what's happened and how we need to move forward through it. And fighting to win all the time doesn't benefit anyone. Yeah. And this is where the snapping back at people doesn't really serve a purpose. So in the example given by Phantom Dust here, where they're saying they don't care about whether or not necessarily they lose their job and all the rest of it, but it makes them feel bad and it makes them feel cowardly and all the rest of it when these situations occur and they can't bring themselves to tackle it. I would imagine that part of that is the fact that every time this stuff happens, it feels like a challenge. And we don't like to be challenged. We like to try and fight back. In this world where competition and kind of infighting and conflict are very important, we need conflict for growth, but they are also focused on in many places to a very unhealthy extent, which is one of the reasons why I basically wanted to step way outside of the corporate world for myself specifically, because of how negative and destructive some of the competitive attitudes being fostered were. But again, if you choose not to just strike back, then you're not being a coward. If you can't control it, then yeah, maybe the whole situation has scared you or has made you anxious. But the simple way to avoid those feelings is to choose. And again, this can be difficult. Not gonna try and sugarcoat that at all. This, if anything, is actually probably the most difficult thing on this list that I'm giving you guys. But if you're having someone come to you and it's there could be all manner of things going on in the background, and objectively it doesn't do anything to the rest of your day, it doesn't change anything, you might still want to fight back. But at the same time, if it doesn't change anything in your day, then why waste the energy on fighting back? Why waste the energy on potentially disadvantaging yourself further down the line? If you just sit there, nod, be receptive, interact as best you can within the situation, but then you're not there to waste energy. You're not there to be someone's punching bag either. So don't volunteer to be, yeah. Because again, you're only going to be someone's punching bag very specifically if you hang yourself in front of them. Yeah, if there were a couple of bosses that I've had in the past that wanted to try and turn me into their punching bag, and so they'd come to me and they'd try to antagonize me, they'd try to mess me around and all the rest of it. The way to defeat an opponent in a way that is safer for you and just frustrating for them, the way to add insult to injury in certain instances is to realise that those people are probably below you. They don't have as much power or impact on you as they think. So ignoring them can be very, very powerful. Or at the very least, ignoring what they want to get out of you, if that makes sense. So they want to get a certain response from you, don't give it to them. Be receptive, be positive throughout the whole thing. There's nothing that, if you want to win, fine. Win against the universe. The universe that day has thrown a crappy person at you, a crappy situation at you. Fine. Come out the other side of that interaction, still being positive, still pushing forward, making sure that you're aware of the fact that it doesn't do anything else to your day, and just keep going. You know, if you want to win, if you want to be rewarded for being right, then fine, go back into education, go and, I don't know, take part in a sporting event, something like that. Go and take part in a quiz show or whatever. You know, those are the places that when you have the right abilities, or when you are right in what you do, those are the places that you're going to be rewarded for it. Otherwise, there's no just definitive right in needing to win. There can be right in terms of facts, i.e. this fact is correct, this fact is not correct, and you can present that to someone in a completely unemotional way, because there's facts are the same for everybody if there's evidence to support them. That's again why looking at it like a scientist is a good idea. But otherwise, being right when it's just two people butting heads usually just means hard feelings, more fights down the line, and more wasting of energy, more upset for you. And again, that's you giving over that control of your emotions to other people who you're allowing to infringe on you. You know, you're giving them permission as a result of continuing that fight in a way, to keep coming back and keep generating more hard feelings between the two of you. Simply put, there is no right, there is no win. If you need to win against the universe, don't win against a person. And the way you win against the universe is by controlling you. So give up the need to win against people. Because especially when it comes to these situations, yeah, you can pick your battles. Some people, yeah, you will want to win against. You're human. You're not going to give it up entirely. But at the same time, you know, you can't just straight up go, I want to fight this every time. Make that choice. You know, if you don't need to win, if you don't need to fight, then the situation again becomes simpler, because you're not being a coward, because there wasn't a fight in the first place. And the last one is stay calm. Find a place in yourself that you can bring yourself back to, just to calm down. And part of that is forgiving yourself. If you feel like you've been a coward, if you feel like you've let people get under your skin, if you don't like yourself for being weak, then simply put, acknowledge it, give yourself a bit of space, take care of yourself, and then the next day, do better. You're human. No one is perfect. No one should realistically ever expect you to be perfect, especially you, because you know all of your ins and outs, and you know that they aren't perfect. In which case, practice a little bit of self-forgiveness here. As said, you're probably not a coward. Yeah? There probably wasn't even a real fight there in the first place. So tomorrow, pick yourself up, look at what the evidence is for the things that are going on around you. Anything that's negative, try and seek that understanding and analyse it and realise whether or not there's going to be impact on you. If there is an impact on you, then fine, you've got to put some energy towards it to see what you can do. But if there isn't, if it's just your boss who's full of hot air just spouting it at you, and the rest of your day is just going to be the rest of your day as per the norm, then don't worry about it. Let it hit you and roll over you, and then just keep going. It'll be like a strong wind hitting you. That'll be it. But otherwise, yeah, you need to find a place to keep yourself calm, so that when something happens that's maybe less expected, that you haven't had as much time to think about beforehand, it's those moments where you can go, do you know what? There's something I can say to myself, something I can remind myself of, a memory that I have of a place where I was calm, a set of song lyrics that just sit really well with me when I need to just mellow out and relax. Bring something into your head that has this internal positivity to it, just to help you bring yourself back to that calm space, so that you can be objective, so that you can forgive yourself based on the evidence around you. Like these are important things to keep in mind, and I've touched on them in other videos as well, about all kinds of other things, including anxiety in the past. But it's a case of, seek understanding, analyze everything, identify the impact that it'll have on you. Don't feel a need to win and compete, and keep yourself calm and forgive yourself. It's a set of things that will help you in a lot of different places, but especially in regards to just retaining that control over your own emotions, giving you choice. I talked about personal strength when I first started this channel, and the 3 R's: resilience, reason, and responsibility. And all of those 3 things come into this. Resilience to weather whatever it is that hits you. Reason to objectively analyze and work with evidence to see what can happen, what will happen. And responsibility, because all of these things are internal. No one can mind control you. No one can affect your emotions. It is you giving up that control, and yet you're still responsible for the aftermath of whatever those feelings that are instilled in you cause. So making sure that you keep a good hold on those, know where your limits are, where the limits are that people can't cross, and kind of build those up. Those are important. And these 5 things that I've mentioned already today are arguably the way to go about it, at least from my experience and the clients that I've worked with who have had similar problems. But anyway, guys, I hope this is helpful, and I hope Phantom Dust gets to see this video. I'll probably drop back onto the other video and comment on their comment to let them know that this video's here. But, again, thank you very much to Phantom Dust for leaving that comment, because there are lots of people who have these issues, and whilst I have covered some of this stuff in previous videos before, this is something that at times can't be reiterated enough, just to make sure that people can have that message, have the idea put in their head about kind of how you can conduct yourself, things that you can do to help yourself out. It's why I have become a coach. It's why I moved away from just corporate management and stuff anyway, because I saw a lot of people being screwed over. I saw a lot of people in this kind of situation, and I didn't like it, and I wanted to help. And hopefully you find this useful and positive. But I'd again still love to hear your thoughts on anything else that you would add to this list from other people that have had similar issues. And also whether or not in using these and trying to practice these and kind of make them part of your approach to these situations, how successful they are. I've seen much success myself. I've seen success with clients, but again, those are people that I've worked with directly. Myself, I am me. There's only one person that can control me and sort these things out. But in regards to clients that I've worked with who have had these kinds of issues, had these kinds of problems based around this kind of anxious reaction to either authority or to other people or whatever, those people I've been able to sit across a table from and go through all this stuff directly, very specifically around their situations. So, here I've had to be a bit more vague and use the example given by Phantom Dust a bit more. But, I'd love to hear how this works out for you, if it does. But otherwise, guys, thank you very much for watching, and again, thank you very much to Phantom Dust for the comment, and I will see you guys in the video later. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting or useful, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video later. Take care.